Now, I should probably check when my, or at least how my last video is doing. Let's bookmark. You. It's bonking time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews. If you can tell by what's going on, we are the only series that actually does record several videos in the exact same day, as you can tell by my 𝓗𝓵𝓙𝓲𝓽𝓪𝓲 t-shirt. Look, if I have more than one opportunity to put my boy into this sort of series, I don't care if it has to all be done in the exact same day. My boy is staying like my boy does. That being said, today we're going to be getting into, actually before I say that, if you're new to the channel and you want to watch more, I know I put a card in the beginning, then subscribe if you want to, because I am desperately trying to get to 200 subscribers, and maybe even further beyond, because this is a dumb show with a dumb series and a dumb plot line, but damn if I don't love it. So if you want to, subscribe, like videos, comment whatever you have to say, or suggestions for new ones if you want to. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and cut this right here. So, today we're going to be looking at an entire season because it was recommended, and I am a sucker for recommendations. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and try my best to do this all in one shot because, oh my god, anything above 20-something minutes is usually long. This one took me a minute. So I'm going to do my best. Yes, it's right off screen, so I'm going to be looking at something else while I do it. So let's just say the name first off. And this may not be the whole name because the whole name didn't even fit in the damn thing. So let me go off. Today we're going to be looking at 𝓗𝓗 no Yubi de Midarero Heitengo Futarikiri no Salon Season 1. If there is more, I hate you for pointing it out. If there is less, good for you. That being said, I don't know what this is about, but there's Salon, and I know the plot of the whole thing, so let's go ahead and get into it. You see, this little ditty is done by our friends over at Comic Media, who love making these sorts of long things. I don't know if they've done any others, but damn, they made this one. Running at about 38 minutes and 23 seconds. Oh my god, that's long. That's what she said. That being said, it has an astonishingly low 7 tags, notable of which are public, cream, the pie kind, and vanilla. If you're not aware, that's kind of my brand at this point, but I'm looking to darken the coffee roast. That being said, I'm gonna say what I can about this after I've gotten through the general overview of this whole thing. So let's go ahead and get into that. You see, starting off is actually a bit of a prelude to what's going on, being that the main character is actually a girl. Well, there's really only 3 characters you need to know in this whole thing. Main character, or as I put down on a lot of my notes, FMC, female main character, because they're so rare and I like to distinguish things that are rare. Female main character, the teacher, and the model. There's only 3 characters that you need to worry about. So, a very young female main character is giving a haircut to this young pudgy boy because they're both children and she wants to be an aspiring stylist. She cuts his hair, makes him look a little bit better because he has curly hair and he's the typical cute fat kid that you see in a lot of these different things. And afterwards, it then leads into the main character as an apprentice at a salon to a very young and very attractive and also very well-known and wealthy stylist who is referred to as Teacher. I know he has a name. I'm going to call him Teacher because fuck you. That being said, her and the teacher are kind of having this sort of like interlude between like them trying to learn, her being very willing, him being very like physical, hands-on, and also touchy because there's a lot of that in this. So main character ends up staying with the teacher until later on and tries to practice on him, making sure that she gets everything right and everything settled. Which leads into scene number 1, because he says, hey, do it this way. Gets a little bit touchy, and then a little bit more touchy until it's a lot more feely and grabby. To which case it leads into, this is not non-consensual, but it feels weird. Which leads into scene number 1. Scene number 1 runs from 4 minutes and 15 seconds and goes all the way to 4 minutes and 40 seconds. 25 seconds does not a good scene make. Afterwards of of the first scene itself, she actually gets sent to a professional gig where she is still working as an apprentice to teach her as he's showing up to meet a model at a shoot to make sure that they can look good. Unfortunately, that model isn't there because they dipped out, so they decide, hey, who's a good model? He looks at the assistant, the female main character, and says, you can be the model. And she's like, what? I don't have the confidence. So they go backstage, and then he gives her the confidence, otherwise known as his everything dick. Well, mostly his fingers, because there's a lot of like digit usage that makes it move, that makes the whole thing like crank and move faster. So he uses that in scene number 2. Scene number 2 goes from 7 minutes and 20 seconds and goes all the way to 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Afterwards, she has a little bit of confidence going with what she has, and she decides to kind of doll herself up, and then after she's all ready to be in the shoot itself, she goes out and she actually does it. After the shoot itself, she goes back to doing with what she does, actually doing a really good job with what she's done. And she ends up dealing with a shitty customer. I work retail, I know how this goes. After dealing with the shitty customer, she ends up working a little bit harder that day and ends up passing out due to, well, overworking is a serious problem in the Japanese economy. Or Japanese workforce. I know that's coming from somebody who's never been to Japan and knows only about Japan from secondhand sources, but hell, if everybody can agree on something, that is probably common knowledge. That being said, she ends up passing out. Teacher is like, oh shit, and then picks her up and then takes her back to his place so that he can make sure that she's okay, because I feel like that's the only logical conclusion that you can do other than, calling the ambulance, which could have been something, but traffic is traffic, and it's probably faster to just walk home. That being said, once she wakes up, he's like, hey, are you okay? Hey, is everything good? And then she's like, this is a little much. And then he's like, okay, well, I can give you something to loosen up. To which case, they end up going at it again, leading into scene number 3. Scene number 3 runs from 13 minutes on the dot to 14 minutes and 5 seconds. After scene number 3, actually, the model from their modeling gig himself shows up and says, hey, I need a haircut. Also, I'd like to kindly request the girl over there with her hair done up, because that's what she has. Yes, she's very modest looking for a lot of it. Like, it has the hair up, the glasses. She's kind of like the character that can't afford anything new, so she decides to look good with what she has. Kind of that work delicate almost. Well, like a piece in a machine that looks really pretty, but is also doing the job that it's meant to do. And it's really, it's a kind look. It really it accentuates. I love that comfy nerd sort of look, which is what she has. And after being requested, he's like, hey, you did a really good job, and thank you for doing what you can. And to which case, she ends up going back and is really proud of what she does, and she ends up meeting with teacher, who naturally they end up sleeping together again, leading into scene number 4. Scene number 4 runs from 17 minutes and 55 seconds and goes all the way to 18 minutes and 40 seconds. Whatever. After scene number 4, the main character and the teacher end up meeting in a restaurant later on. And after meeting in that restaurant, they end up going into the bathroom and then going at it again, which leads into scene number 5. Scene number 5 runs from 19 minutes and 25 seconds and goes all the way to 20 minutes and 35 seconds. You see, after that, she does something that's a little unexpected and actually pushes him off and says, I don't know what's going on. We've been going at it a lot. I've worked under you. I'm also, I think I'm one of your friends, but, Jesus fuck, dude. Chill. I need to go. I'm done. And she ends up walking off. And she actually runs into the model again while she's out. And they kind of hit it off almost. They're pretty good friends after this period, because they end up going to a manga cafe, because the model, even though they are the supposed, Adonis good-looking person that shows up, they are also a person, so they have interests outside of what they do that also don't interact with what they do. He's a nerd. He's a gamer. He loves playing. They actually straight up reference PUBG. He plays it on his phone, which is not the best way to play it, but hey, I mean, if that's your hobby, then you love doing it. Good for him. And afterwards, they end up kind of separating, and then the model and the teacher end up meeting, and the model says, hey, I'd really like it if she was like my personal stylist, because she's really good and she also works really good and we have a chemistry going on. We're good friends. I kind of want to work with her a lot more. To which case the teacher is like, I don't know if she's great because she's an assistant still, but I feel like she has a lot to learn. But if you like her, then I can think about it. To which case, teacher and main character end up meeting again, and then they kind of go at it. Typical. Which leads into scene number 6. Scene number 6 goes from 27 minutes on the dot and ends at 29 minutes on the dot, and holy fuck, an actual scene that lasts over 2 minutes. That being said, right after scene number 3, she actually kind of gets 2 things. She has a little bit of a talk with the teacher and says, hey, I don't know what our relationship is, can we please just talk it out? And they end up getting a lot more like ground and foundation going on what they have, because mostly it's just been like hooking up at random times whenever he feels like it. And then it leads into her actually getting a call in her apartment from her dad, who she's been supporting this whole time, because just because you want to follow your dream doesn't mean you don't have responsibilities. And she ends up having to send money to him and make sure that he's doing well. She lives a very modest life, and her like look throughout the whole thing has kind of reflected that. He's actually been running a business that actually works really well and has started to pick up, so he doesn't actually have to have money sent to him anymore. And he plans to pay it all back to her. So naturally, she decides, I can actually treat myself and live a good life because I'm doing what I love, and I'm also just straight up enjoying my life. I have money to do so. So she goes out and she does exactly that. She dolls herself up, makes herself pretty, gets rid of her glasses, puts in contacts, which you don't need to get rid of glasses to look good. Why does everybody think glasses are for ugly people? Glasses are so fucking cute, and they're so good looking on a lot of different people. That being said, after dolling herself up, she actually gets another moment to like talk with teacher and the model, and she actually gets the position as a personal assistant for a professional model and also actor. And it's astounding all the good stuff that's going on in her life. And then at the very end, she ends up meeting with teacher again, and then they hook up, having the last scene of the entire thing, thank Christ actually, and goes into scene number 7. Scene number 7 goes from 35 minutes and 45 seconds and goes all the way to 36 minutes and 45 seconds. One final minute to go. And that's the end. It ends right there. Now, I may have sounded kind of indifferent going through this whole thing, but here's my thought. Here's what's going on. The chemistry... I'm not even... Okay, let's go into the actual review. The review, and let's go straight. The animation. The animation isn't necessarily bad, but it has a problem. You see, this is a season, and an entire season as it is. The season itself is frankly long, but there's also 6 to 7 minutes for every plot for every 1 minute of plot, which is not a great dynamic when you're working off of something that's 38 minutes long and it has 7 different scenes, because not all of those are going to be quality. That being said, the animation itself starts very great in the beginning. In the beginning, it shows off characteristics, cuteness in the character. The main girl in this is adorable. I love her so much. She's so sweet, and like, she's just so happy to be working with what she has. And the animation shows off her bubbliness, her sweet, like, you can definitely tell if she was in real life, she would smell like cookies. She would smell like freshly baked cookies because she made them, because she was having a good day and she wanted to share it with her people that she works with. But later it starts to degrade, and unfortunately it degrades to a certain point later on where it is between mid at best and slightly bad. So I ended up rounding them out and saying that this is a 6. 6 across the board. Because the first 2 episodes, very good. And the ending sections of it, the other 5, they teeter on 6, 5, and 4s. And they're not great. Which I'm going to call it a 6 and be generous, because I don't want to say that this is a 7, because the beginning is great, but it's not like Overflow where it's bad later, where it's like great, great, good, good, good. It's like great, great, good, good, baddish, mid, baddish, good. That's kind of what it does. And 6 out of 10 I feel like is good for what it has. Nothing bad, but most of the best parts are in the beginning. Now let's go ahead and get into the stories and characters. Now, this is where my main problem comes in, because I think the relationship in this is badly written. Is straight up badly written. You see, in the beginning of it, when they show off the main character and the boy, like, and she cuts his hair, the whole plot line of that actually leads into the chubby boy beginning to be, that actually grows up to become the teacher who's better at her than at cutting hair. But I don't like them together. I really don't like them together. Because she's bubbly and cute and just has, like, this sweetness to her. But he is always the one that, like, takes charge. But he does it in such a, like, I don't care what's going on, grabs her, and then ends up going at it. I don't like them together. I think she is adorable, and her, like, movement is so cute, and she feels like she's genuinely working towards something. Every beat of story around her is good. When the teacher shows up, I'm not happy. The model seems like a person that they would actually be together with, but unfortunately, he's the side character that shows up to make sure that she's doing well, and the main love interest is teacher. I don't want the teacher to be there because he's a dick. He's constantly the character that just grabs at it and then puts him into scenes that are not exactly, like, well warranted, because there's 7 of them. I get you have to put 1 in for each, but you didn't have to do it this way. So, fuck. For how good the relationships of these two are, and teacher being the shit link, I feel like taking a 3rd off of it is relative, so I'm going to give this one a 6 as well. The model, well written and well done, and it's understandable the way that he acts, and I think he's good. Main character, also that way. Very, like, understandable, working hard, doing her best, and makes you care about her because she's very sweet and she's so cute. Leads into the teacher being the shit link. He's the character. I don't like him. I don't fucking like him. Which is hard to say that there's a character in this that I don't despise him. I just don't like him. He's a dick. He's the character that, like, reaches and then grabs and then just gets his way. 6 out of 10 for stories and character. I feel like I've made my point a little bit. And finally, what we're all really here for, the plot, if I can call it that. Unfortunately, this is the weakest link of this by a lot. The plot in this is spread out among the 38 minutes, approximately 7 to 9 minutes of it, 7 to 8 minutes of it are actually plot. That being said, they're not good. They're not good. There's 7 of them. They're spread out evenly throughout the whole thing. And they all run from 2 minutes to 25 seconds long, which is not good. They're so few and far between. Well, few is relative because there's 7 of them, and they usually only have a certain amount. But these scenes aren't, like, felt and deserved. They don't make use of a lot of the stuff that's going on. Well, it's nothing but vanilla. That's it. Vanilla and cream are just constantly used, and the characters don't feel like they're actually being used for the scenes themselves. It feels like they just shoehorn them in there, and then don't use the link that they have. I understand this was broken up into, like, 7 different episodes, but holy shit, you could have done, like, 3 or 4 episodes and made them moderate lengths and then actually put, like, emphasis on the very end when you did put a scene in. But these are all minute long, and they're not great because they're not diverse. They feel like the exact same thing. It's always like, oh, gonna use my hand for a second, and then I'm gonna actually go full force. And sometimes they don't even go full force. Sometimes it's just the hand. And fuck, I don't like these either. The plot in this is a 3 out of 10. It's undeserved. It's generally, like, short in every aspect of it. And sometimes the animation, this isn't where the animation went. The animation went to the story, and that's where it's meant to be, because you're only watching the story. But the animation during the scenes themselves is bad. Like, legitimately bad. It's not good. It's stilted, it's slow, and it doesn't move very fast. So I'm giving it a 3. We're going to add all this stuff together, and we're going to come out to a 5 out of 10 for the overall score. 5 out of 10, I feel like, is too high, but I don't want to lower it, because lowering it means that I'm going to end up taking away from people watching it. I'd recommend watching this once for the plot alone. The story, not the plot, the story. Watch the story alone, that's it. After that, you're up to do whatever you want. If you want to rewatch it for the plot itself, it's fine. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd watch this for the story. That's it. And even then, I'd only really focus on the main character and the model. The teacher, I don't like. And I think that's where we're going to end it for today. That being said, I've got some editing to do. So I'm going to end it there. Which also, last time before I leave, if you like these videos and you want to see more, please subscribe. I make them as often as twice a week. Sometimes if I'm feeling motivated, I'll throw in a goofier episode in the middle of them, but that hasn't happened a lot because unfortunately I do work a lot. That being said, thank you everybody for being here. It is an absolute honor to be able to make these sorts of videos and be able to post them wherever I feel like, because unfortunately I don't post in a lot of different clips from these things because that is how you get taken down. So, thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to continue making these videos, and I guess that's where we're going to end it. So, remember, have a nice day, don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I've been the Doctor. Peace.